Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
We follow those. We're an accredited lab. In addition to the microbiological testing, we do like alkalinity, hardness, conductivity, turbidity, all kinds of tests actually.
Water is now restored to the north side of Odessa after they lost water yesterday. That was only hours after the city of Odessa rescinded a citywide boil water notice that lasted through the weekend. These incidents, combined with even more water trouble today, has council members scrambling for a solution. CBS7's Noe Ortega was at tonight's Odessa City Council meeting discussing these issues, and he'll have more details coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks to those of you joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt, and we start tonight tracking crime out of Big Spring, where an officer was shot by a suspect early this morning. This man, 42-year-old Orlando Montanez, who gave himself up to Big Spring police and was arrested just before 9:30 this morning. He's charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, causing serious bodily injury. Montanez led officers on a chase this morning around 2 a.m., crashed a car, and shot at the officers. One of those officers was hit and had to be airlifted to Lubbock because of those injuries. After shooting at officers, Montanez ran away and a manhunt started. Because of its close proximity to Washington Elementary, the school closed for the day. With the assistance of the Midland SWAT team, officers found Montanez in a shed and peacefully surrendered just before 9:30. You can read all of these details on the chase and arrest on our website, CBS7.com, or download the CBS7 News app. Still tracking crime, a Colorado man was arrested on Saturday for possession with intent to distribute fentanyl. According to an indictment, 53-year-old Douglas Christopher conspired with others to distribute a controlled substance that contained fentanyl. The indictment states that Steele's fentanyl distribution led to the death of an Alpine resident. If he's convicted, he could face up to 20 years to life in prison. In May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and with suicide becoming more common across the nation, the Texas Tech University Health and Science Center is doing their part in providing education and mental health resources. To help address issues and provide education on mental health, the center worked with the Texas Suicide Prevention Collaborative to present the Texas Higher Education Suicide Prevention Spring Summit. Today's summit focused on how Texas college admins can implement mental health services for students who are experiencing mental health challenges during their college experience.
So we still live in an area where we don't have enough providers for the number of population that we have. And so you guys see that down in the Permian Basin because there's just a growing population.
TTU HSC will hold another summit similar to the one today in September, which is Suicide Awareness Month. If you or someone you know needs help, you can either visit 988lifeline.org or call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988. And another water main break happened in South Odessa today. The city says customers near South Crane Avenue, Clifford Street, and Lindbergh may have low water pressure. Tonight, the Odessa City Council has proposed a solution that could potentially help with recent water troubles. CBS7's Noe Ortega was at this council meeting and tells us what that solution is. Noe?
Well, with 2 water boil notices in the past week throughout Odessa, the City Council voted in favor of creating a utilities valve crew. The City Council voted unanimously for the Director of Utilities to consult with experts in valve repairs, to look over all the valves across the city of Odessa and to see which ones need repairs and which ones don't.
We have about 700 miles of water line here. Some of that, like what we pulled out with one of the first leaks, was actually stamped 1950. So you're talking about 75-year-old pipes that are in the ground.
People went up to thank the City Council for the quick repairs and communication they had with residents. However, they also had concerns for what the future holds for the city.
It shows the definition of a true servant leader. And what that is Mr. Beckmeyer right there.
But also that something is taken care of, that something is done, that our 70-year-old water system is repaired.
Beckmeyer was at the scene of one of the line breaks, helping as much as he can. He says regardless if it's a small pipe break or a large one, a plan should always be put into place. With over tens of thousands of valves across the city, they want to fix this issue as soon as possible. He says the problem isn't that the pipes break.
The only reason that it was such a major problem was we had 19 valves that were broke open, which means you couldn't close the valves and you couldn't isolate the break itself.
Once they start to repair the valves that are outdated, he says residents will receive a notification in multiple ways weeks before they start to fix them. People in the areas where they'll be repaired could experience no water for maybe a day. However, Beckmeyer says this is a long-term solution to this issue.
It's unacceptable for us to not be able to isolate and minimize the time that the city is without water. It's just not acceptable, so we're going to move forward on that.
Beckmeyer says that since it has been approved, the construction to repair the damaged valves can begin within months. In Odessa, I'm Noah Ortega, CBS 7 First Alert News.
Thank you, Noah. We're going to take a pause now and talk your weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tom Teefer-Teller. Tom?
Well, we are tracking a couple of scattered showers earlier today. That activity has died out as it moved off to the east, so the satellite and radar view pretty quiet at the present time across West Texas and southeast New Mexico. It was hot out there today. If you were outside, you knew it. Temperatures were all the way up into the upper 90s across the western Permian Basin into the Trans-Pecos, with 98 in Pecos, 97 in Fort Stockton. Also another hot spot, 98 there in Presidio. Looking at Odessa this evening, temperatures are cooling off a little bit, but we're still rather warm into the mid-80s out there. Upper 70s down towards Alpine, so a little nicer there is the wind. Well, we're starting to pick up a southeast wind, meaning that dry line is moving back to the west. A little gusty along that dry line. Seeing gusts up to 24 miles an hour there towards the Dryden area. So we'll keep a little breeze in the forecast overnight tonight. Temperatures are going to be a little on the milder side. Tomorrow, an isolated shower, thunder shower possibility, but the best chance is going to be with that cold front coming in on Thursday.
Thank you, Tom. Do you like mariachi music? Tomorrow, the Hispanic Cultural Center's 3-day mariachi workshop closes with a concert at the Midland County Horseshoe. Here's a sneak peek.
2, 1.
250 mariachi students have spent yesterday and today honing in their musical skills with mariachi experts. After tomorrow's workshop, all of that training will come together for a concert that'll begin at 6:30, followed by a performance by Mariachi Los Vieros.
You're going to hear a lot of, let's say, old music. You know, it's really cool for the kids to learn. You're going to see all the kids performing and singing, and then on top of that, after they're done performing, all the instructors that came down are going to put on a grand finale concert for about an hour and a half. You're going to hear all the songs that everyone loves to hear.
CBS7's sister station, Telemundo 20, their anchor, Luis Carlos Mendoza, will be emceeing the concert tomorrow night, and tickets are still available. And today marks the inaugural Drive to Strive telethon fundraiser that's organized by the United Way of Odessa and hosted at First Basin Credit Union. Volunteers were encouraged to use their cell phones and scroll through their contacts, calling everyone they know who would pick up and donate to a good cause. From $1 to thousands of dollars being donated at a time. The money raised by people in the Permian Basin will eventually shuffle back into the community.
To see the community come together is always so heartwarming, just to know everyone's here to raise money to push back out into the community. 98.2% of monies raised by United Way of Odessa stays in the Permian Basin.
In just 4 hours, a total of $39,500 were raised for United Way of Odessa. Not only was the event a good way to bring the community together, but it's also educated attendees on United Way of Odessa, what they do, and who they serve. And today, Senior Life Midland and Meals on Wheels continued to train workers on the new pickup process in the new Senior Life building that they officially opened last week. CBS7's Jay Hendricks is a board member for Senior Life and was there today to help volunteers with getting meals and parking. Texas Roadhouse was also on hand with Andy the Armadillo. Senior Life Midland serves 500 meals a day to homebound seniors. And the facility is not yet open to the public, but a grand opening will be announced at a later date. Turning now to some local sports, yesterday we showed you how the Legacy Rebels are preparing for the 2024 football season. Today we're taking you across 191 to the Odessa High Broncos, where CBS7's Jensen Young brings us an inside look at the team. Jensen.
The Odessa Broncos gave up spring ball to get an extra scrimmage in the fall to prepare for the season. So this is not spring ball.
So we're not really doing spring ball, but this is spring ball.
So the Broncos have spring ball, kind of. The team meets in the gym before school for weightlifting and film, and they only get a short time for football during the athletic period.
The kids are having a lot of fun, and when you come out, you probably can't tell we're not doing spring ball because they're getting after it.
With a limited amount of time for drills and no hard contact, the main aim is simply making sure each player understands what to do and why in each scenario.
You know, we're just looking for footwork, steps. Are we running the right routes? Are we dropping in the right coverage? Are we getting into the right gaps defensively? You know, all that stuff, we're recording it. And, you know, tomorrow morning we'll meet and we'll do weights and film and evaluate how well we executed and make the adjustments that we need going forward.
There are some big gaps left by the graduating seniors, but head coach Dusty Ortiz likes the way the team is shaping up.
We had to replace 4 of our 5 offensive linemen, and we've had some young guys really step up. They're going every day after school to weight room and trying to get stronger and put them in a position to be successful. You know, we're bringing back a lot of our skill. Our quarterback's coming back. That's huge. We have some receivers coming in. We have a couple of freshmen that are coming up to varsity. They're going to make a huge impact on the team. And then defensively, you know, we got some guys that are flying around and wanting to stop people. So all in all, it's all coming together, and we feel pretty confident about next year.
There is still a lot of time left and a lot of spring ball to be played until the season opens up this fall. For CBS7 First Alert Sports, I'm Jensen Young.
Thank you, Jensen, and be sure to tune in tonight for even more local sports coverage with Sports Director Jagier Brooks Davis. And still ahead, elections are in November, and today, a new presidential candidate has stepped forward. We'll tell you all about it up next. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going after the assumed Republican presidential nominee and former President Donald Trump. In a rally in Austin on Monday, Kennedy criticized Trump for handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and the nation's economy.
President Trump came into office saying, "I'm going to run it like a business. I'm a businessman. Trust me, we need a businessman to run it like a business." Exactly. And then he closed down all of our businesses. 3.3 million businesses. Who would do that?
Kennedy was introduced by his running mate Nicole Shanahan, and it was her first appearance alongside Kennedy at a campaign event since she joined the ticket in March. And social media apps have taken a lot of blame over the years for spreading misinformation, especially when it comes to politics. So the findings of a new study may surprise you. Researchers at Stanford University and other institutions worked with Meta, where they found that a majority of the participants who stayed off of Facebook and Instagram for 6 weeks before the 2020 presidential election did not have a change of heart about Joe Biden or Donald Trump, nor how they perceived the legitimacy of the election. They were also less likely to believe misinformation about the election. And the study bills itself as the largest scale evidence available to date on the effect of Facebook and Instagram access on political knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors in a presidential election season. And the Justice Department announced that it will seek tougher sentences for election crimes fueled by artificial intelligence. DOJ officials say that using AI to threaten election workers makes the crime more dangerous and more impactful. The new policy applies to the use of AI in any election-related crime, not just violent threats against election workers, but also things like voter suppression during this election cycle. AI tools have made it easier to mimic politicians' voices and likeness to spread false information. In order to illustrate their concern about AI, officials pointed to an incident during the Democratic primary in New Hampshire in January, where an AI-generated robocall imitating President Joe Biden targeted thousands of New Hampshire voters and urging them not to vote in the primary.
Well, we are going to be looking for a change in our forecast with a cool front later this week. Also may increase rain chances a little bit. We'll talk more about that and look at that weekend coming up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we are looking at a pretty quiet evening out there. Most of the showers, thunder showers, have ended along that dry line. Really everything being driven by daytime heating because we're underneath a ridge of high pressure. So not a lot of upper level support. Now we are getting closer to this little trough of low pressure up here that's moving in around the Four Corners area. That may come into play a little bit tomorrow with some scattered showers, thunder showers. Best bet's going to be across the South Plains and the Texas Panhandle. So north of the Permian Basin for tomorrow, but then on Thursday, that front starts to dive down, and that's when we could see our better chance at some rain showers and thunderstorms. Take a look at the satellite and radar view. Again, we had a little activity spark up across the Concho Valley, now moving east towards Eden, over towards Paint Rock, back across the Texas Panhandle. A little thunder shower activity produced some gusty winds, but it's dying down for the most part. We're seeing that dry line push back to the northwest, so breezy conditions on the eastern side of it are moving in, and that's going to keep temperatures a little bit on the mild side overnight tonight. Temperatures across the state today were rather hot, plenty of 90s showing up, even the upper 90s across portions of deep South Texas this afternoon. Now let's take a look at this futurecast showing you that we are going to have some clouds develop first thing in the morning. We'll have those cumulus clouds across the area for most of the day. You see the thunderstorms sparking up around 5, 6 o'clock across the South Plains. 1 or 2 may trickle in across parts of the northern Permian Basin, but it looks like the better chance is coming up on Thursday as this front could get a little active with some scattered showers, thunder showers across portions of West Texas. Anywhere from Hobbs towards the Midland Odessa area and east of Big Spring by Thursday into the evening hours. And we'll be watching out for a strong to severe storm. Now for tomorrow, everything's going to be off to the north, extreme northern Permian basins where we could see an isolated strong storm in our forecast for tomorrow. Rest of tonight, things look quiet, a little breezy out there across the area. Lots of clear skies. And then for tomorrow, we'll keep it mostly sunny out there. There will be some clouds and again, an isolated thunderstorm roaming around parts of the northern Permian Basin. But the better chance is coming up on Thursday. We'll call it about a 20% chance now. May have to up that a little bit. And we'll see some milder temperatures with that front. But then the heat is back with us. Triple digits possible by the weekend.
Thank you, Tom. 2 is better than 1. But when you can't have 2 valedictorians, one of them might have to settle for salutatorian. The story of 2 brainiac twins up next. Take a look at this. A pair of twin brothers in San Antonio, Texas are at the top of their senior class at Clark High School. Henry Ramos reports.
Twin brothers brainstorming about their bright futures. Charlie and Michael Weiner are seniors at Clark High School.
We've been to school at the same school since preschool, and the whole time we've always competed against each other, just in a friendly way.
A friendly competition does no harm, and it certainly worked out for the 18-year-olds.
We weren't mad at each other. We weren't, it was just, we thought it was pretty cool, so we just kept working hard. Nice. It was a good surprise for both of us.
The surprise? The twins are Clark's valedictorian and salutatorian.
Oh, it's pretty close. Yeah.
Number 1 and 2 out of more than 600 students. The school measures the GPA on a 100-point scale.
Yours is 104.
0.6923, and mine was 104.2885.
Wow.
But
that is super close.
Again, we don't know. It's probably closer on a 4-point scale.
The difference? Not much at all.
That's a few points in a few classes, I think.
The two really taking no break their last year in high school. They're both in 6 AP courses. And they're involved in other activities like debate, the National Honor Society, just to name a few. The two credit their parents for the motivation, and as they walk toward their future, they also leave behind this piece of advice.
Don't push yourself too hard. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or try things.
Still ahead, hear ye, hear ye. Punxsutawney Phil and his wife have had 2 groundhog babies. We'll tell you their names up next. All right, Tom, before we go, let's talk a little bit about Punxsutawney Phil, which I know is a little unusual because it's March, or not, it's not even March, it's May.
It is May. Almost June.
I'm a little behind, but Punxsutawney Phil is the groundhog that predicts the weather in February. But right now, we're not talking about the weather. Over the weekend, the first family of groundhogs has grown. Phil and his wife Phyllis, that's his wife's name, have had 2 babies, a boy and a girl. So we can say hello to little girl named Sunny and baby boy Shadow, which are pretty fitting names for groundhogs.
And I guess you have to wonder, okay, they keep them in captivity. Do they eventually make them the next Punxsutawney Phil?
I think so. It's like royalty. I think that.
Okay.
I think that the.
So there's an ascension.
I think so. So maybe the son will then ascend. They kept calling him royalty when I was reading about this. So they're the first groundhog family in groundhog royalty.
Groundhog royalty.
Groundhog royalty. So I think that's what they're a prince and princess of the groundhogs.
Just when you heard it all. Okay.
They're living a pretty good life over there.
I guess
they've got
so.
like the secret club of groundhogs, and they talk to them in groundhogese. That's how they found out the name. Is they talk to them in groundhogese.
They did a good job this year.
They did.
They said spring was right around the corner, and it's
certainly been spring.
We're going to be dealing with some thunderstorms, a few more in the forecast later this week.
All right, thanks for joining us for CBS 7 News at 9. We've got more news coming up tonight.